I went from this, just having had a baby in March 2024. I had never felt tiredness like it. I was wearing whatever I could fit into at that stage and wondering if I would ever feel like myself again, to this over 10 kg lighter in time for my wedding in May 2025. A million miles from the girl in that first picture. Confident, strong, and feeling really, really damn proud of myself. And I done that while pumping until August 24, running my own coaching business, living on less sleep than I have ever experienced in my life, and navigating being a first-time mum and trying to keep a little creature alive without having any kind of instructions on how to do it. So when I talk about weight loss as a mum, I'm not talking from a textbook. I understand how hard it is in a way that 20-year-old influencers with zero responsibility ever will. I know what it feels like to be so incredibly uncomfortable and feel so far and lost from yourself, where you want to lose weight but you don't know where to begin because you are just absolutely exhausted. To have every plan and good intention thrown out the window because the baby has decided that it's going to have a sleep regression. And now as a coach, I help mums lose weight and get their spark back again. And I can honestly say the women who get the best results, like these guys here, they're the women who have realistic plans and who learn to lose weight without pressing pause on their lives. And today I want to share 3 things that I believe made the biggest difference to me being able to drop that 10 kg as a mum to a baby boy under the age of 1 in time to walk down the aisle feeling like $1 million. The first thing that made the biggest difference by far is meal prepping, because as a mum you have absolutely no idea what is going to be thrown at you that day. The minute that you think you've got a routine that is finally working, I can guarantee that your baby is going to decide that's the minute that it is going to flip things on its head again. So you need to set yourself up to make it as hard as possible to make bad choices. So making sure that I had my meals prepped is the very first way in minimizing the chances of making those crappy decisions. So I made sure that I had breakfast prepped, that I had lunch ready in the fridge for me to just pop in the microwave or put into a sandwich, and simple dinners either already on the go in the slow cooker or ready to pull out of the freezer and jam in the oven. Because if you've had a hard day with the baby, the last thing you want to try to do is make a decision on what you're going to eat. And I can guarantee when you've had it up to here, your emotions are going to drive your decisions rather than your logical, rational brain, which keeps your goals front and foremost at your mind. And that is what causes those fuck it decisions to be made. It meant that if the day still went to shit, I still had something easy to grab. From my experience, most women do not need more discipline. They need to set themselves up in a way that increases the chances that they will make good choices and decrease the chances that they'll make bad choices. To make this even easier for you guys, I've included a link in the description below to a free ebook with some of the recipes that I use to get myself into that absolutely banging shape. So make sure you click on that link and check it out. The second thing that changed was I was very careful to base my calorie goal on my minimum standards rather than my optimistic standards, because they create these plans based on the versions of themselves that they would like to be rather than the reality of their actual life, hoping they're going to hit the gym 6 days a week and hit 10,000 steps plus every single day. Meanwhile, they've got kids waking in through the night, a house to run, and about 6 seconds of peace to themselves. So they end up not being able to hit those standards and a calorie target that's way too high for themselves, and then get frustrated with their lack of results. I know that the question you're asking yourself is probably, what is the fastest way to lose weight? Because who doesn't want to lose weight as quickly as possible? But the right question, and the question that is actually going to get you results, is what can I actually stick to consistently as a mum? Annoyingly, the fastest way to lose weight is actually the slow way. My training had to look very different to what it looked like before I had a baby. But looking back now, the results speak for themselves, and I'm also really impressed by what I was able to do. I started with consistent walks before building into gentle runs. I found a gym that I could take my baby to and trained around 2 times a week. Some days I had to cut that short or spend 15 minutes rocking the baby to sleep in the middle of my session. But that was just part and parcel of the journey. Then I picked up a running buggy when my baby was a little bit older. So that allowed me to start taking my son on runs with me. And I managed to run my first half marathon 6 months postpartum, which still to this day absolutely blows my mind that I was able to do that. And like I said, at the time, I was so incredibly hard on myself. I felt like I wasn't doing anywhere near enough. Remember, the perfect plan is not even worth the paper that it is written on if you stand no chance of sticking to it. The third thing I done was to avoid pressing pause on my life in order to lose weight. Why does this matter? Because the best way to make something feel as though it's taking as long as possible is to pause and wait until it is completed. Imagine if you sat by a door and waited for a parcel to be delivered. You would feel like it is taking absolutely forever. But if you get on with your life and you go to work, meet your friends for coffee, it's going to feel like that parcel arrives an awful lot quicker than if you had have just sat by the door. I'm sure you've all heard the saying when it comes to having kids, that the days are long but the years are fast. And the same applies to fat loss if you just continue to live your life at the same time. Let time do its work on your results. I still had coffees out with my mum every single Friday, which included a pastry. I still had the odd takeaway. We went on our first family holiday. I also went on a weekend trip to England. And there was Christmas in the middle, plus training for 2 half marathons, where I actually came out of a calorie deficit for a grand total of 6 months. Because there was no point spending the year before my wedding feeling absolutely miserable, all for the sake of one day. On top of that, it is so incredibly important to build habits that you can stick to in real life. Because the truth is, my eating during the week looks pretty similar whether or not I am trying to lose weight. I just have a fair bit more wiggle room at the weekend now that I'm not trying to lose weight. And you have to learn how to do this if you want to keep the weight off. And there's one key mindset that I relied on massively to help me with this balance, and I use it all the time with my clients. I'm going to do a full video on this for next week, so make sure you subscribe because this genuinely was a game changer for my weight loss journey. So yes, I lost 10 kg using all 3 of those tips. But the biggest thing that I gained back was me and not feeling like I'd lost myself to motherhood. By the time my wedding came around in May 2025, I didn't just feel proud of how I looked. I mean, I did feel incredibly proud. I looked absolutely amazing and I worked hard for that, which is why I'm happy to say it. But I was probably more proud of the woman I had become after one of the most life-changing, exhausting periods of my life. Because postpartum could easily have become the excuse that I used to completely lose myself. But instead, it became the time where I realised how important it is to show up for yourself. Because my God, is it the time that you need your energy the most. And that energy comes from looking after yourself properly. You cannot pour from an empty cup. And that's exactly why I wanted to make this video. Because I know there are so many mums sitting where I once was. And you're watching this thinking, how am I supposed to lose weight when my life looks nothing like the people who are giving this advice? You're exhausted, you're living around naps, you're grabbing food on the go, and you just feel like you cannot get ahead. And that's exactly why I created my coaching. Because I know what it feels like to want to lose weight, to feel confident again, and look after yourself while also wanting to be a good mom and a good partner and feel like a human being all at the same time. Inside my coaching, I use simple systems around food and eating, realistic routines, and plenty of support on those hard days. This creates a way of losing weight, not just on the perfect days, but during real life as well. All the details are below and I would genuinely love to help you. And don't forget, next week I am doing a full video on the mindset that genuinely changed how I find balance around food and a social life. So make sure you subscribe and I'll see you then.